What one thing would stop you or hold you back from following Jesus with all your heart? Think about that. Jot it down a second. Or if you put it the other way, in the end, if you ended up your life not following Jesus with all your heart, what would it be for? Why? I jotted down a few reasons that might come to your mind. A few reasons why we might hold back from following Jesus with all our hearts. I don't know if it's any one of those things for you, but just have a moment to think. If I don't end up following Jesus with all my heart, it will be because of... Okay, jot that down, put that in the back of your Bible, put it somewhere out of sight for now, we don't need it right away. But it's hard, isn't it? Here we are on camp, we've had a great time. I've loved it. We come here morning and evening, we hear talks from the Bible. It's great. I love hearing the Bible. I love hearing the talks about Jesus. I feel encouraged, I feel excited. It's easy being a Christian on camp. But it's hard because I know when I get on the train, when I get home, when I roll out of bed on Wednesday morning and rip the duvet off, it will be harder. It will feel harder. I don't know what it will be like for you. Maybe you're thinking, yeah, it will be harder. My family make it hard for me to be a Christian. I just know they don't like it. They don't like me talking about Jesus. So I just feel under pressure to back off a little bit. My friends at school, friends at home, I know they think it's weird. They think it's weird if I go on about it, or if I make following Jesus the main thing in my life. They're just going to think I'm weird, and I'm tempted to back off. That's the pressure for me. Or maybe it is just this. I've been here before. I've been on camp so many times, and I've been sat in that chair, hearing this talk, thinking, yes, I'm going to go for it this year. I'm going to follow Jesus. I'm going to go all out. And then a week later, or a month later, or 2 months later, I've blown it. Either I've just sort of slowly fizzled out that enthusiasm, or I've spectacularly blown it and thought, oh, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. One way or other, by the end of the summer, this feeling, where we are right now, has sort of just faded away. Jesus has faded away from the main screen of my life. He's sort of sat there on the desk like a postcard on holiday that gathers dust when other stuff just slowly piles up on top of it. It's hard, isn't it? We're all under pressure in some way or other not to follow Jesus with all our heart when we leave these four walls. Now, what does God have to say about that? I mean, we're not the first ones to be in that kind of situation. The verses we had read from Hebrews chapter 11, it's amazing. They were written to people who are under pressure. Pressure not to follow Jesus. Well, hey, that's what we've just been talking about. And why? Why would they have been under pressure? Well, the other option for them would have been easier, would have been safer, would have been more popular, would have been going back to things, instead of trusting the unseen promises of God, it would have been trusting things they could see and touch and hold. And it was easier not to follow Jesus and not to trust God's unseen promises. And thankfully, these verses that we're going to read, they're sort of like a marathon runner's survival guide. I've never run a marathon. Some of you in this room probably will have done. There's all sorts of things you want to know when you set about running a marathon. Well, these verses tell us some of what we need to know to run the marathon of the Christian life. So I want you to imagine now. Imagine, whether like me you've never run a marathon, or whether you've run one before, imagine that you're at the start of the race. You've signed up to run a marathon. You're going to go for it. And off you go. You set off. And you run. And you're like, oh, okay, this is okay. You make some progress. And you're picking up pace. And you keep going. And then they tell me there comes a moment. It doesn't matter how fit you are, or how unfit you are. There comes a moment when you hit the wall. I don't know all the science about what that is. But something to do with your energy stores run out. Your body can't metabolize the energy in the normal way. And you hit the wall. And everything inside of you screams, stop! Don't keep going. Stop! Your body's basically wanting you to shut down. Now, imagine in that moment that you're on your own. You're running this race, but there's no one else there. Maybe it's the London Marathon, and the streets of London are completely empty, and you're screaming at your muscles, stop, what's going to happen? I'm actually going to give in. And I think when I'm tempted to give in following Jesus, in those moments I feel like I'm all alone. I feel that no one else knows what it's like for me, the pressures I'm under, my family, my mates, my sins, my struggles, and I feel all alone, and I'm tempted to give up. What do these verses say? Hebrews chapter 12. Look down with me at verse 1. It says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, you are not alone." You've hit the wall, your body's screaming out stop, you're not alone. Since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. Okay, you're back now running this race, and instead of looking up and seeing no one, you see the streets just teemed with people. And what are they all doing? They're looking at you, and what are they all saying? They're screaming, saying, "Keep going! Keep running! Don't give up! You can get..." And you look out, and it's not just random people. These are some of your heroes out there. You see Paula Radcliffe, 3-time London Marathon winner, world record holder. She says, "Keep going. I've been there. I felt the burn in my legs. You can make it to the end. Keep running." We see Mo Farah, who's run a few as well. And he says, "Go on. Keep running. Keep running. You'll get to the end." But when we run the race with Jesus, this passage tells us we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. We don't have time to go into it. The whole previous chapter is telling us about people, heroes, the Hall of Fame of the Christian faith, Moses, Abraham, Barak, Samson, all these people. And it's when we're running this race, they say to us, "Keep going. God is good. You can make it to the end. You're not alone." Now I wonder, if you were running a marathon, you'd turn up, probably when you're about to start, with a bag. You take a bag to whatever the kind of room is at the beginning. And if you were if you're training, and if you're preparing to run, and then if you're running, you'd have to work out what's in the bag. Do I need it? Do I not need it? Okay? So I want you're going to do some work now, and you're going to decide, I'm about to go on the race, do I need this with me? So the question is, will this help me to run? Do I need to keep it? Okay. This is just what's in my bag. Water. Hydration. Will this help me to run? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes, great. Okay, it stays. Somewhere. There. Okay, what else have I got? A newspaper. Current affairs.
No.
What's happened 2 days ago? Will this help me to run?
No.
No, okay, it's gone. I don't need it, it goes. I've got a book. Will this help me to run? No, it's gone. I've got some high energy snacks and nuts. Will this help me to run?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, it stays. What else have I got in my bag? Did everything. Got a pencil case. Do I need a pencil case to run? No, okay, it goes. Okay, what's the last thing I've got in my bag? Okay, I've got a laptop. Laptop is good for all sorts of things. I can watch Netflix. I can do my work at school. I can Skype someone in another country. Question, will it help me to run? No. What's on? Look down with me the next bit of verse 1. Let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. If you want to run, you've got to be ruthless. Let us throw off everything that hinders. Now here's just a sneaky suspicion I have. Here's my suspicion. I think at the kind of schools that we go to, the kind of families that we come from, maybe even the kind of churches that we're in, will be encouraged maybe to run the race. But we will be told to put all sorts of other things back in the bag. You'll be told, well, the laptop's quite handy, keep that. Because it's like we're trying to run various other races at the same time. If I'm trying to run the success race, or run the popularity race, or run the parents' approval race, or run the best university race, well, then I'll keep all sorts of things in the bag, if that's the race I'm running. But Jesus says, well, these verses about the Jesus race tell us there's only one thing. There's only one race. That's the main thing. Therefore, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And what's the big point of all that? What's it building towards? Why are we being told this? You're not alone. Throw off everything that hinders you. I will carry on reading. Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. That's the big idea. That's the big thing. Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. We mentioned the London Marathon. They tell me hundreds of thousands of people sign up to run that race every year. I mean, 26.2 miles. Right from the old days in Greek mythology through to the present day. It's this great feat of strength and resilience and endurance. So we celebrate it and we sponsor people to do it. And hundreds of thousands of people apply. Now, of those hundreds of thousands of people, 50,000 people get the place in the ballot. 50,000 people will get an email come through saying you've been accepted to run Virgin London Marathon 2017. Did you know, of those 50,000 people, 13,000 drop out even before the race? Every year. It happens every year. The organisers know it's going to happen. They build it into their calculations. 13,000 people drop out even before the race. And hear about this. Of the 37,000 that are left, 500 people start the race and go off. And maybe they go off for 1 mile, maybe they go off for 5 miles, maybe they go off for 10 miles. But at the end of the race, if you look, I don't think they publish it in the newspaper, but if you look online, they'll have a list of results. And it has the names of all these people that have been entered into the list. Well, for 500 people who started the race, do you know what's written there at the end of their race? All that's written are 3 letters. DNF. Stands for did not finish. And it doesn't matter if they ran 1 mile, it doesn't matter if they ran 5 miles, it doesn't matter if they ran 25 miles. But they did not finish. Here's the point. It's not starting the race, but finishing that counts. It's not starting the race, but finishing that counts. And that's why the verses tell us, let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. It's hard. I've never run it, but they tell me you hit the wall. There will come times when your body can't metabolize enough energy on its own strength. And when that time comes, you need something, someone beyond your own energy, beyond your own natural supplies and reserves to help you get to the end. You might use the glucose gel or an energy bar. Well, the really good news is, when we are running this race, when we are tired, when our muscles are burning, it's not that we're trying to run this race on our own. It's not even that we're trying to run the race as the first ones to do it. Look with me down to the rest of the verse. Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. Fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. Here's the good news. Jesus has run the race. Jesus has run the race. He did finish. And amazingly, he can help us to finish too. Most of you are pretty smart, so you know what a pioneer is. A pioneer is just someone who does something that no one else has done before. A pioneer is someone who does something for the first time. So just to check you're still awake, I'm going to ask you some questions and you can tell me the answers. Who was, and you can't say if I've done this with you already, who was the first person to climb up Mount Everest?
Edmund Hillary.
Edmund Hillary, well done, brilliant. Who was the first person to win a gold medal at 5 Olympic Games in a row? Steve Redgrave?
Al Owert.
Okay, I don't know who that is. I thought it was Steve Redgrave, Sir Steve Redgrave. Last question. Who was the first British female musician to get 6 top 10 singles from one studio album? They released an album and got 6 top 10 singles from that album.
Adele? No?
Good guess. It wasn't Adele, it was Jessie J. Who You Are, 2011 was the album. Now, you could say Sir Edmund Hillary, Steve Redgrave, Jesse J are pioneers. They've done something that no one else has done before. Great. Here's the good news. When it comes to running the race of faith, there's all sorts of heroes, there's all sorts of people that we've seen, but there's one pioneer. There's one pioneer who has successfully started and finished the race, who never tripped up with sin, who never got entangled, who never was made to slow down, who made it all the way to the end, and that's Jesus. We've been hearing about it all week. Jesus finished the race. More than that, he's the perfecter of faith. That means he can get us to finish the race too. He's run the race for us, and he will get us to the end. And so, if that is true, what is it that Jesus invites us to do? Well, the big question, I suppose, is will you run the race? Will you keep running the race? About perseverance, here's a couple of quotes. Victor Hugo said, "Perseverance is the secret of all triumphs." Or Samuel Johnson said, "Great works are performed not by strength, but by perseverance." But here's the quote that I really like that I think will be helpful for us. Walter Elliott says, "Perseverance is not a long race, it's many short races, one after the other." Perseverance is not a long race, it's many short races, one after the other. So the question then actually for us, the passage really helps us, isn't just, will you keep running and make it to the end? There's the short race question, the day after day after day after day question, is will you fix your eyes on Jesus? Do you see that? Fixing our eyes on him. The short race, each day, each moment of each day, will you fix your eyes on him? I'd love to tell you the story of someone I know who I think just sums that up. Her name is Barbara. She's 88 years old. She's very special to us because she acted as a guardian for my mum when she was 16 and looked after her when she first came to this country. Now Barbara, 88, she lives on her own, her husband's died. If you were to go and spend time with her, or even to talk to her on the phone, she would be honest. She would say, "Yeah, it's hard at the moment." She would say, "Oh, I'm a bit tired, I get tired very easily nowadays." But every single time I've ever spoken to her on the phone, she can't tell me how she is without telling me something about Jesus as well. She said, "I'm tired, but the Lord is good. He gives me strength for today. He gives me strength for the next day." Or she would say, "It's hard." She says, "I try and encourage elderly people," she says, because it's hard being elderly. She's 88. She's encouraging elderly people. She said, "The hard thing about being older is I can't get about as much as I used to," she tells me. But she said, "The good news is, the Lord brings people to me now," she said. So she's well known in her village. She said, "The neighbours come and see me. Some of their kids will come and see me. The postman pops in to see me." And she says, "I can just do what I can do to share the love of the Lord with them. I try and share something of what he's doing for me. I try and encourage them and listen to them." And the amazing thing, I bet you, whoever it is who goes and spends time with her would know that the biggest thing, the most precious thing, the thing that she keeps in front of her eyes all the time is Jesus. Because you can't miss it with her. Her life is full of Jesus because, she would tell you, because she spends time, because she fixes her eyes on him, because he gives her the strength to run the race. And why do I tell you about her? Well, she's 88, and we're talking about finishing the race, not starting when counts. But of course, none of us are 88 or anywhere near 88. But if we want to run the race to the end, that means another 50, 60, 70 years following Jesus day by day. Well, what would it look like for us to fix our eyes on him day by day? Well, a few suggestions. Maybe it would mean, even before we leave Camden in the next 24 hours, I would love it if we could just jot down 3 things. We've got some cards at the back. 3 things about Jesus that you're excited by. 3 things about Jesus that you love. And then find a way to just put that in front of your eyes at various points of the day. I don't know whether you can stick it on the laptop screen, or maybe it would be in your wallet, or maybe it would be in your planner or diary at school. Something that you can fix your eyes on Jesus and remember who he is and what he's done. Or maybe, actually, if you think back to the start, I asked you to think about one thing that would hold you back. Or maybe it'd be a really good idea before leaving to go and talk to someone here that you can share that thing with. Someone you trust, someone you... And together say, well, let's fix our eyes on Jesus in this. How does Jesus speak into this? How does seeing him help us with this? And resolve within the next weeks and months, just maybe a text, maybe an email, maybe something you could do to help, we could help each other fix our eyes on Him. Now, I'd love for us to think, as we begin to think about applying that for ourselves, just imagine with me for a moment, what would it look like this time, after Senior B Camp 2016, when we leave this place, we go off in all sorts of different... Imagine if each of us is committed to fixing our eyes on Jesus. Imagine if first thing in the morning, that Wednesday when we roll out of bed, the first thought that comes into our heads is, Jesus, He's run the race, run with Him. Imagine as we then go back off to school or go on to the next holiday, or if the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, we're just looking at Jesus and we're encouraging each other. Imagine if this time next year when we come back, we could tell each other the stories of what Jesus has done for us. I would love it, in fact. I mean, not just next year or the next year. I would love it. Imagine if when the time we're 88, if God gives us that many years, there's 150 Barbaras sat here. Imagine if we're so full of that love of Jesus, that running the race day by day with Jesus, that we can't help but speak of Him, and other people can't help but notice. Wouldn't that be an amazing picture? Well, as I close, just a few moments of quiet to think. Off the back of what we've heard, off the back of these verses from the Bible, what one thing might God be saying to you, for you to fix your eyes on Jesus this coming week, this coming year? And then I'll close in prayer. So just a moment of quiet. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. Let's pray. Lord, you